I want to bring in our panel to talk all about Rigetti Computing, the earnings. Quantum computing has been such an exciting story, but what now? We just got the earnings out. Cory Johnson, Chief Market Strategist at Epistrophe Capital Research, and Ron Westfall, VP Networking and Infrastructure at Hyperframe Research. Thank you both for being with us. So, Mike, I'll start with you. Cory, I'll start with you. When you take a look here, tell me a little bit about your thoughts on Rigetti.
Well, look, this is a science project. It's not a business yet. It is tiny, tiny little revenues that are in decline. Revenues down 18% on a year-over-year basis. It's kind of cool stuff. They're Novera QPUs. They're making science projects to sell to other science projects. And it's, as in terms of buying the stock or trying to figure out what an investment is, I mean, $1.94 million in revenues in a quarter. It's ridiculously small. This is more like a biotech than it is a computing company. Maybe it'll be something in the future, but right now it's not much.
And it's amazing how much this stock has soared, right? In 1 year, it's up over 2,000%. People were really excited. I mean, you did have Jensen Huang at one point really put out a word of caution on quantum computing stocks. Ron, what do you say about this?
Fully agree with Cory. I think this is definitely a long play. So this is definitely, patience warranted. And on, I would say, the bright side in terms of, okay, this is a long-term investment. What is Rigetti doing right today to, back that up? And I see them making the right moves in terms of their R&D investments. I see them actually making progress with their Cephas 136Q system, and that is using a microchip architecture that is actually more flexible than, say, a monolithic single chip approach. And that's also referred to as a chiplet architecture. And so I think this is something that will actually work to their competitive advantage further down the road as, the academic community and government researchers learn more and more about how to optimize quantum computing. And as a result, Rigetti will be in a solid position to take advantage of those developments and become a warranted long-term investment.
Wow, and that's already up over 2,100% in the 1 year. But let me ask you, Ron, as you talk about Rigetti being in a good position, is this a quantum computing story or is this a Rigetti story? Because there are several names in the group. Do you think the others, too, could benefit? Like which ones?
Well, right on. I think Rigetti in itself is a story that is going to warrant continued, I would say, attention. And I think that, yes, Rigetti is also in a position that can help drive the overall quantum computing market segment that has drawn, more interest in what's going on in terms of the research and development side. And so, Rigetti is definitely one of the smaller players, but you're looking at the full spectrum here, and you certainly have players such as IBM definitely I would say enhancing its overall position as well in terms of being able to take advantage of quantum computing developments and also delivering that innovation. And so I think what's important here is that we're seeing advances in terms of getting toward what is called a 100 plus qubit system. And it's not just Rigetti, but it's also the other players, including IBM. And that I think is going to be a difference maker in terms of being able to catalyze that research and development that's going to be so vital in terms of how this market will play out.
We're showing some of these here. We have Rigetti, we have D-Wave, IonQ, quantum computing, just to name a few. So what do you think here, Cory? I mean, what's the final thought? Because I do want to expand it out a little bit. Is it a win in the long term for all of these names?
I drove by the Rigetti headquarters yesterday, as it happens, because it's down the street from the Berkeley Bowl grocery store. The Berkeley Bowl grocery store is 4 times the size of Rigetti and has greater revenues. So, this is a science project. This is like, investing in a company like this or D-Wave or something is kind of like believing in organized religion and then going to church's fried chicken as if you're participating in the same thing. There's nothing here yet. And maybe there will be something from IBM. Maybe there will be something from Google. Maybe there will be something from Rigetti. Their approach to follow the kind of path of development that they've seen in semiconductors, to look at chiplets, to kind of compare themselves to the development of CMOS chips and the accuracy of those chips over time is an interesting approach, but it is very, very early days, and these valuations are like lottery ticket bets.
So definitely some nervousness and caution there, Cory. Where would you put money to work instead when it came to tech then?
I mean, quantum computing, like I said, is more like a biotech guess on something that might work someday. We see real money being spent right now in AI, and I still think that that's the dominant theme that we're going to see for a long time in technology. And as we see the change in data centers, right, there's been a lot of interest in power and energy, but I think as we see the change in the way data centers are developed over time, and you and I have been talking all year, Nicole, about optical networking, connecting data centers as data centers go from scaling up to scaling out. I think we're going to see a lot more there and a lot more spending there. Whether or not Meta and Microsoft and others Amazon, Google, see a payback in the amounts they are spending in data centers, we know that they're spending in data centers. So it may be the picks and shovels, if you will, that are the real beneficiaries for quite a while to come.
Understood. So looking at AI and beyond. Ron, what about you? I mean, when you expand, so it sounds like you are a little more positive on the quantum computing stocks, but if you expand it out, what kind of names do you like in tech?
I think Cory is correct. I think AI has plenty of runway, despite all the talk about a bubble. It's not going to be something in the foreseeable future, from my perspective. I think naturally the NVIDIAs, as well as the Mag 7 stocks, for the most part, are going to be solid investments. They all have AI plays. And what's going on with AI is that there's just massive investments that are going on to build out those data centers. And it's called the data center migration that's going on in terms of building them in more remote areas, rural areas, i.e. where you can get the energy to support all of that intensive GPU training that's required across all these clusters, including distributed data centers as well as scale across data centers. So in addition, I would say that the Microsofts, the Googles and / Alphabets, as well as I would say anybody who is playing in terms of the data center build out. And so I think that actually brings to the forefront stocks that haven't really gotten as much attention, but the Ciscos, the Dells, I would also say the HPEs will become more interesting as a result as the networking and the GPU intensive training become more and more integrated, and as a result will pull through, I would say, these stocks in addition to the leading AI stocks of right now.
Well, it's great to see you both really appreciate it and watch for a record close, too, on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, friends. Cory Johnson, Ron Westfall, thank you both for being with us here today, taking a look at Rigetti and so much more.